Hey, welcome back. Today's NW2 mastermind session is the abundance perspective. And it's really looking at a different distribution model and really looking that distribution model is the dance party of opportunity. So abundance perspective, thank you for showing up. My name is Mickey Mikeworth, and I am a financial strategist. I'm also one of only 8 people who have won the top woman of finance twice. I have been doing business strategy for many years, and it is good to see you here. And today we're going to be talking about, again, I've dedicated my life to one conversation, which is prosperity, and that is the ability to magnify. And when we talk about prosperity mindset in business or prosperity in business, that's like the biggest reason that people actually hang out with me is because if you want to increase the prosperity of an individual, of you as an individual, of you as a business owner, of us as a country, as a state, as anything, you have to increase the ability to trade. And so today, distribution is that ability to trade. So when we see a lack of prosperity in a business, it's the inability for it to magnify. So we're going to really be talking about that. I wrote the prosperity business model. That's where most people actually know me from, is writing on those 3 E's: economy, efficiency, and environment. And I want you to kind of, for those of you who are here a lot, you're going to get that chance to kind of layer in a couple of pieces of knowledge. And that's the thing I love about prosperity is that the more time that you spend with these ideas, the more you'll be able to kind of add them up in a more complex way. So what we're really talking about is an abundance perspective. And that's really specific. And an abundance perspective is this belief that opportunities are everywhere. You just have to notice them. And that perspective is like there's everything is opportunity. If you've ever been someone that's craved chocolate, like I need chocolate, I need that. Like everything now I'm looking through in that belief system of can this bring me chocolate? Can this get me any closer to what I need? Right. And that there is opportunity. I just have to find it. I was in a law firm the other day and I was craving chocolate. And I had said, I know there's chocolate in this office. So I went to the front desk and I said, I know there's chocolate in this office. Who has it? And they're like, oh, Jenny always has it. Okay, great. Right. There's opportunity everywhere in here, right? There's somewhere in this law office that there is some chocolate for me. So when you're thinking about abundance perspective, we're going to be marrying that with kind of this dance party of opportunity. And if you've ever been a DJ or hung out with a DJ, the number one thing that a DJ never wants to see, never, is a dance floor that nothing is happening on. So every DJ has kind of a series of music that will get everybody up and dancing. So when I'm talking about the dance floor, that's what I'm saying. You've got to get all of your product out there dancing, all your distribution points out there. It's a dance party. How do we get them excited and really showcasing? So the guiding principle that we're always working with is how to use your prosperity mindset and leverage all the available resources. And one of the resources I want to talk about, again, is that abundance perspective. It is taking on that belief structure that distribution is a dance party of opportunity. And that is, right, combining these 3 things, right? The importance of distribution to your business, you're adding in that prosperity mindset, and then you're putting in this belief system that abundance is available. And for those of you who are super achievers, a lot of times you will hear me talk about, again, mission. For those of you who are further along in business, we would come back to this place, right? How is mission the placeholder for that hard expectation? So we would have taken this distribution model and put it in. So we'll talk about that again later, but that's an advanced concept. So if you're coming to the all-day class on this, then you're going to get this. So we have a lot. This this exact conversation, if you were hiring me as a business strategist, we would have spent 3 hours just on today's topic on shelf love. Because shelf love isn't just about the shelf, it's about expanding your thinking, your creativity, and your whole life. So distribution as a dance party, you're going to need some time with it. So today I'm just going to do a quick review, but again, if you want to come to the longer kind of day-long clinic, you should think about that because it's pretty fabulous. And partnering is luscious. One of the things that I remind everybody about is partnering with other brands, with other things. That's the lusciousness. It's so good to partner with people, but we're really talking about distribution. Distribution is like winning the lottery every single week, where you're like, yeah, that got it out there, that got out there. It's watching a team go forward, not just I'm partnering with one. It is a totally different piece of energy. It's expansive energy. It's rooting energy. It is energy that says, this is expansion only. Oh, I hope it does well, right? Shelf love is, again, that place where you have to come in and go, oh, I need to look at every shelf as an opportunity. That where is it that I can place my product? Where is it that someone else can place my product? What does that look like? The number one question that people ask me is like, how do people get stuck? What are they stuck on? And the answer is actually easier than you think. And people don't like to believe that, but what ends up happening, especially for those of you who have been in business long as I can remember, the way that you get stuck is by focusing on what you knew. And they forget, the more you know, right? Okay, here's how you do this, here's how you do this. The more you get into that mechanization and the more that you've done that, the more you also forget. And that's the forgetting of exploring what's possible. And like I said, those are two different kinds of energy. So you have to go back to that dance floor and go, what's possible? What's possible? And don't forget, like you and I, we're here today because your brilliance really belongs on the right shelf. And that's a hard trick to do. So that's why it takes 3 hours just to have this one part of the conversation. And again, I really remind people that, happy thoughts do not build your bank account. It's getting the word out and getting it direct to consumers. So in the video, for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, this is why you have a phone. This is right why you're looking that out, right? You are the shelf showcaser. Now you have to really rethink your model on what are you showing? You're showing what you're doing. You're showing what your customers are getting. You're showing in a lot of places. You are the shelf showcaser. So when we see somebody with a phone taking a picture of a haircut they just did, they're sending that out to their following. They're sending that directly to consumers who want to see what's on your shelf. So when you're thinking about this as products, when you're thinking about it as other things that you're selling, you want to go, how can I showcase this shelf? This is my product. It's on a shelf. What does it look like on LinkedIn? What does it look at like on, any of the other places? What's the shelf that you need to be on? And that shelf sometimes is really looking at having a supplier. Sometimes that shelf is really B2B. So you're looking to partner with another small business and get on their shelf, or that you're maybe looking for somebody's shelf to be on yours. That direct to consumer, right? Direct to consumer is a big deal. And we're seeing more and more direct to consumer on all sorts of selling models. So you want to understand what is direct to consumer. Then you think about the online ad campaigns. Online ads are there to sell one product. They're not there to sell five. Here's the whole brand. Sell me on the brand. That's not what online ads are there to do. They're there to sell one thing and to show it off. So that's a shelf, right? Is an online ad, that's your shelf. Your product is going to have its own marketing plan around it. When we also look at strategic alliances, so strategic alliances can be a lot of things. Sometimes a strategic alliance is working a booth. Sometimes a strategic is meeting a whole new group of people. Sometimes it's a joint venture. Sometimes it's saying, oh, let's try something else that's new here. And we'll showcase a couple of those. But again, you're there to showcase your products on your shelves. So what you want to look at is what is your product's best shelf. So this right here, if we were working together live on what you are building, and remember, I've built hundreds of things with people. So what's the best shelf for your product? And you want to really take the time to start looking at what that is. Because guess what? We all have problems. Products are there to solve a problem. And distribution is what delivers the solution to the problem. So if any of you have been in a checkout line, and in that checkout line, it's right, there's this end cap, that right, this little things that you can buy as you go through. Now, the vast majority of those checkout lane products, they're not even owned by the store. In most cases, that's a rental. Those are little kiosks. They're owned by other people. You just check out with them. They're located right there. The distribution model is that it will deliver something that is a problem that you're going to solve. What's the number one problem if you've been shopping? You're thirsty. So there's often beverages right there that you may need a snack. You may have forgotten that you need batteries, right? That everything in that little end cap at the checkout is there to solve a problem. It's the solution being delivered at the point of the problem. And right there, this part of the conversation, that's worth 3 hours of time right there. We all have problems. Your consumers have problems. And you have a solution, but you have to deliver that solution to where they're having the problem. So is that right? Where are you going? What is it that you're doing? Is that online registration? Is that whatever? You've got to think about the fact that you're solving something. So again, we're going to take it on as a dance floor. We're going to take it on as this successful distribution, which is our game plan. And the fastest, easiest way for us to do that is to really look at the customer experience map. So if you are looking at the customer service appreciation, the customer service experience is to go, okay, let me look at the customer experience map and look for distribution options. So an example is that we had a brick and mortar store. And one of the things that the brick and mortar store has is it has gift wrap. And so they are like, well, how can I take every sale? And this was the original conversation. How can you add just 2 more quarters to the till on every single sale? And they were like, well, why don't we just make their package cute? And so the people will ask, they'll ask every single customer, oh gosh, do you want that gift wrapped? Oh yeah, I do. Well, okay. So we did a little math on it, and that math was, okay, I'm going to charge 50 cents. They have over 12,000 sales. So by just them saying, oh, let's put in a distribution for our this of putting it in a different bag that costs us nothing different, and then putting a little bit of gift wrapped on it. If we do that, what will that do? Well, for them, they have 12,000 sales in a year. So it's an extra 6,000 of pure profit. And so they will say, do you want me to gift wrap that for you? People will ask, is that free? And they go, no, it's just 50 cents. Yeah, no, but it's only 50 cents. Everyone says yes. No one goes, oh, yeah, I'm not going to spend that 50 cents. They can't wrap their own stuff for over 50 cents. So there's the distribution model, right? As people are checking out, offer them a solution. Offer them a solution to a problem they didn't know they maybe had, or they didn't recognize that they needed that problem solved. But you can recognize that on their behalf. So they wrap up everything they can possibly do it because everyone wants that. And then in the downtime, right, everyone that has downtime is making that little gift wrap. So they were already out whatever the cash flow was on that product, on building uh, that gift wrap item. So when you're looking at redrawing your customer experience map, think about, oh, when they're here, do they want a QR code to maybe take a class? Are you there to sell an outside product? Do you want to group things together? Hey, do you need this in a gift box as a series? Are you looking for a baby gift? You can have things that are on your online item. So looking at that customer experience map for distribution options, because that is your shelf love, right? How do I get it on another shelf? How do I get another tool? By just saying, hey, do you need this as a baby gift? Click my QR code. Okay, great. We'll order it for you. It'll be at the desk. Wow, that's fast. That's fast. The other thing that we would have done in distribution, so if you and I were meeting live and we were going to look at just this topic, right? Customer distribution options, I would have had this as a field trip, and we would have had a field trip to the mall, and we would have had 3 hours on the field trip. So that's the amount of time you want to take for yourself in parts of these conversations. They're all 3-hour times to work them through. They take effort. So if we were going to do the old way, that's looking at our existing customer experience map. Now it's to say, hey, let's have a field trip, you and I, and let's go sit at the mall. And we're going to sit at the mall and we're going to look at all of these customers and we're going to make up some stories. And we're going to say, what are the other distribution options that these people that we don't normally see could access that product? Why would they find it interesting? What is that? And we would practice drawing a new customer distribution option. And that right there takes about 3 hours. So if we were going back through looking at your existing customer service map, that's its own 3 hours. Drawing a new one, that takes its own item. So these are two different field trips. One you can do right in your store or in your existing model. And the new one is that we got to take you outside of that. And I remind everyone, if you want to have a secret sauce, it's not one ingredient. No secret sauce has one ingredient. And you're here, distribution is a secret sauce that something is magical about it. And you need to find out what are the different elements to make that sauce. And you're going to make a secret sauce for every single different product. The way that I sell a business mastermind is not the same as how I'm going to sell an accountability group. So you've got to find the secret sauce for that product. And that's why distribution is so interesting. Now, for those of you who are the creative, the owner, you're doing this, I remind everyone, this is where subconscious anchoring, it's your secret weapon. And it's your secret weapon because it will work faster than you can. And so we want to look at that belief system and how it's changing. We want to look at that anchoring that happens in your mind. And we'll talk a little bit about that brain science and some of the other of it, but this is where you have music, mantras, nighttime journaling. You've got to anchor your goals. So first you have to explore what the options are, and then you're going to have to settle in. And the first mantra that I ask everybody to take in when they're learning shelf love is like, if you and I were working in a business plan together, I would say that's 6 months of exploration to go, let's really work on these shelves and let's look at how we can change our mantra, which is opportunity is everywhere. Opportunity is everywhere. And a lot of times I will have people go like, get a playlist. You've got to get a playlist. You've got to get a mantra. You've got to start writing things down. And your brain, and this is not just my belief, this is my experience. This is where I have seen everyone do well. And they understand that power, that their brain is a treasure map. Their brain is a treasure map. You've got to get it working on your behalf. And that's why I say to people, subconscious anchoring, it is a big deal. So using the other things, that prefrontal cortex, the hippocampus, the reticulating activating system, right? All of these are your treasure hunter parts of your brain. And when you look at that parts of the brain, like that prefrontal cortex, right? That's the captain of the ship, right? When you look at the librarian, that's the hippocampus. When you're looking for a radar, ding, 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 ding. That's your reticulating active system. That's like going, hey, we got to get in here. When you start using all of those things together, we really see that in an abundance mindset. So I have to teach you two things. One is the belief system, right? That abundance mindset, it's all possible, but I have to connect it. I have to connect it. But there's opportunity everywhere. So, right? I can put it in a bouquet. I can put it in a boutique. I can put it in a quirky vending machine. I can put it in as a wedding favor. I can put it in, right? When you start looking that abundance mindset, that you put it into action and you start going, oh, it can go here, it can go here, it can go here. What will happen if you've journaled it out and written it out and gotten it so your conscious mind can understand it? And now your subconscious can anchor it. It can anchor it. Now, what will happen is that magical opportunity, your brain is going to set an intention. And then it just starts scanning for a match. It just starts scanning for a match. It scan, 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 scan. And the way that I explain this to people in class is the minute you buy a different color car, the minute that you now have a red car and you go out to a busy parking lot and you're like, man, there's a lot of red cars here. Makes it harder. You didn't notice that there were red cars out here like that before, but now you're matching it. And that's also why it's such a bummer when you rent a car and it's a different color and you come out and you're like, oh yeah, what am I driving? What am I driving? And that's also why they write it on the keychain so that you can deliver a solution right at the problem. So if you've pulled out your keychain and a rental car, oftentimes it will tell you that this is a silver, this, that, the other thing, and give you the other options because you don't have the natural match, right? Deliver the solution where the problem is arising. So one of the things that I talk about, and so if we were together live doing this work together, we would really have a lesson on playful visualization. And that's why we move into that playful visualization, because I need this of all the parts of your brain to start firing. It's got to be a little silly. It's got to be a little zany. You have to be completely engulfed in play, because play lights up the most parts of your brain. It's active energy, it's striving, it's looking for opportunity. It is available to the excitement. It's the perfect paradise. It's the ticket to hotness, right? You were made for this, right? It is what you're looking for, the power of playful visualization. So it's the permissions to dream. And don't think about it, is it possible? Think about the impossible. Think about the other fun thing. What if, what if, what if? Now, we have a friend of ours who has a clothing line in a major department store. And he posted the other day that one of the designs that he built, right? So one of the pieces of clothing he designed was now in a movie with an actor that he really appreciated. And we were talking about it, and I'm like, look, do you understand how that happened? Because the actor themselves didn't make that choice. That was not your distribution point. That's where we saw it. But how did that happen? Well, that happened because somebody who works in another department made that decision, right? Somebody who worked in another department, specifically costuming, went to that major department store on the credit card and said, let me go to this major department store and buy the characters' clothes. They're modern, they're current, and let's get that on the TV screen. And I said, you have to rethink the distribution point. And we've learned this from many, many different clothing brands, right? Can we get our clothing to be worn by people who we pay attention to, that we pay attention to? And you'd have to have, he didn't have that capability of going, oh, this should be in the costumers thing. But now he does. Now he's like, oh, we should probably set that over. Because if they're dressing George all the time, we want George in this brand all the time. We'll send it over. And so this is visualization. This is permission to dream. And that is the fun part of what's there. So think about what is the product that you have. What's the craziest shelf? And remember, each product has its own story, its own lineage, its own dance party. So we're doing them one at a time. One at a time. What's the craziest shelf you could have? So most of you are watching this on the replay. So I'm going to just invite you to just take a minute and pause this for 1 second and just close your eyes and just think about what is the place that's unexpected that I could place my product. How would it look? What would it feel like? How would it work? What would it look like? What is the attraction, right? How can this be different? And when you think about that, right, now we have the ability to get paid in hundreds of different new ways. So just think about 3. Think about 3, close your eyes and go, where are these unexpected places? And then come back. Because what we're going to do is we're going to re-engineer all the crazy ideas. How could it work? And that right there is your passport. How could it work? How could it work? How could I be in a vending machine? How could I do it in a very different conversation? So the vending machine concept, I give the example often of this was this day, it was just in the last year that I saw this old, I was taking photographs because I have a book series that I've been working on. And it's about learning to live somewhere else for 30 days and working on the road differently. And I've been doing that for a decade. And so I'm in this small town and I'm just taking pictures and I see this old vending machine. And it's like old, like Cindy Crawford getting the Pepsi out of the Pepsi machine. It's got the big fat, like paddles that you push, right? Like you use your whole hand and go, oh, I want that one. So this is old Pepsi machine. And in where you hit the paddle for you hit that whole thing. It's usually got like a, whatever brand it is white pieces of paper. And I'm like, what? Let me get over there. And on those white pieces of paper, underneath the plastic is different kinds of bait. So for worms. So they had all of this bait in a vending machine and they had it on the side where nobody goes to of the gas station in town. Talk about delivering a solution, right? This is great distribution because guess what? Those guys are going out, or gals, and all of those fisher people, right? Fisher people are going out sometimes at 5 a.m. So they're stopping to get gas. That's their distribution point. So they put a vending machine there, and they put an old clunky vending machine. Now, for those of you who are very young and don't understand the power of the time that Coke and Pepsi were having a war, that's the equivalent to like breaking the internet today. So they had these ads, of which we had superstars of the era have these huge, right, ad campaigns to just Cindy Crawford walking up to a soda machine, hitting it, and getting a Diet Pepsi out. Wow. Wow. So the vending machine. So I always think I'm looking at this old vending machine and it's pulling out of my subconscious this memory of when those machines used to look like that. And so it is, right, how could it work? These crazy ideas. And so, somebody's like, I can put bait in that machine. It'll come out the same size. So it just comes out and there you go. They can set the price to anything they want. And so when you think about how could it work, who could help, right? Who are the gatekeepers? Who are the connectors? Who are the cheerleaders? And this is why you got to have a journal. And this is why distribution gets its own dance party journal. Like today, if you're looking for something that, right, what's your first step today? Get your distribution journal. How can we do it? You want to be on somebody else's shelf. What's the first step? Step one. And then you start writing down your plan. Because when you are thinking about distribution, your brain is starving for fun. Your brain loves novelty and it loves rewards. So let's just give it to what it needs. And distribution will deliver that all of the time. It will deliver that. That's the crazy idea of what if. And remember at the beginning, I had said to you, it's not just about having the conversation of shelf love, because I loves me some shelf love. I need you to love shelf love, but it's expanding. It's teaching you that if you will adopt abundance as a belief model, right? Abundance is that ability to say, right, there's opportunity everywhere. I just have to find it. So you put those crazy ideas in the what if category. What if? What if we could do that? What if, right? What if this was the ticket to hotness, right? What if? What if? And this is, you don't have to focus on discernment at that time. You get to really look at what if? What if? You can refine it later, but you need that expansive energy. You need that powerful place. And we do that in the second time we come back to it. So the what if, that's one set of energy. You're going to focus there. For those of you who are doing advanced planning, I'm going to pick a different 3-hour time. And we're going to go, okay, let's walk it through the values proposition of the business. Let's attach it to mission. Let's get the complexity of it worked out. But the what if, what, right? That's not the time for discernment. The time for discernment is when we get to values proposition. Right? And that's that value proposition is uncovering, right? Is it good or bad? Is it good for me? Is it good in the world? Right? Is it good in comparison? Right? What's the values proposition? And that's another 3-hour deck of time. And that's when all of that discernment comes in. That's selectivity. That's uncovering your thoughts. That's determining and intellectualizing. That's a very different energy than let's get out on the dance floor. So for those of you who are layering in, that's it. But basically what we're looking for is we're building a story of expansion of the business. That's what distribution is. We're going to build a story of expansion of the business through those products, through that distribution, and get them all out on the dance floor. And so some of that values proposition is really defining the highest good. And when I look at that highest good, I like it in that what if model. I really like, if I know that I'm looking for highest good, which is how I'm always solving it, that I go back to those crazy ideas and go, well, let me layer that what if with, right, with right? The highest good. If I put the highest good into these what if scenarios and then I branch out, right? I'm going to branch out and I'm going to go, what's my crazy shelf? What's the play place? Let me get that in a playful visualization. Let me have permission to dream. Let me look at a new customer experience. Let me look at getting my mind to find that treasure map, right? Do you see how it's kind of coming together? That subconscious anchoring. Then it becomes really easy, but you got to practice it. You got to practice it. And that what if is this is a beautiful model that takes practice. It takes guidance. You want to do it with somebody who knows it and understands it. And the fastest way to do that is gamification. And gamification is exactly what it sounds. Make it a game. And this is where I start to go, okay, we're going to play the shelf spotting game. And so if you and I were out on a field trip and you and I are on a field trip out in the mall, I'm going to take you into specific stores. And here's the thing about hanging out with me is I plan ahead. I know what I need you to think about, but I need you to think about it in the way that you're going to think about it, and you got to come to it on your own. So I'm going to just put you in a situation and see if you can come up with it. And so so I plan ahead. So I'm not going to just pick any store. I'm going to plan ahead so that you have the best game possible. So introducing the shelf spotting game of going, okay, what's the shelf that this can be on? And then we got to come up with, right? Why don't you walk around in your life? What are 10 shelves this week? And don't think of small or silly, because sometimes the shelf I've got to be on is somebody just telling somebody that they learned all this stuff in my class. You know, the shelf I got into this week was somebody from the 90 Days of Wealth organization. Now, the 90 Days of Wealth organization, I spent 3 years building on this 90-day program. It took me 3 years of just saying, let me come into wealth in a very different way. And let me teach my class and whatever. So instead of knowing, am I right? I was like, hey, I wrote this book. I have this process. I'm going to mark it down to a low price. Will you come and teach me everything I did wrong? And people are like, yeah, sure. Okay. Well, there were 4 people that took me up on that offer of going, hey, do you want to come? It's not perfect, but I think we'll learn something together. Those 4 people in class in 90 days stacked up $38,000 of savings of like, not like debt reduction, whatever, from just organizing their stuff. That's not new income. That was 38,000 now that they got to keep. And the new shelf I got was on her going, oh my gosh, this thing happened to me. Wow, this thing happened to me. And so sometimes that might not be the biggest shelf I can get on, but she put my product on that shelf. She put my product on that shelf in her class, in her social media, in her opportunity, because she was proud of it. But she didn't put her goal that she had almost half of that. She didn't put that up. She just put, this was an amazing thing. Thank you. Thank you for putting my product on that shelf. So don't think about them as being little shelves. That sometimes little shelves are awesome. Sometimes just something as simple as going, hey, can I give you 10 pairs of earrings? And can you just wear them and tell people where you got them? That's a shelf. That's a distribution point. And then can you just give them a QR code and they can buy them themselves? Hey, I got a QR code for half off. Do you want that? Okay. You just need to be so creative and silly. And sometimes silliness sells. Hey, do you want one like it? I can get you that half off. So make it crazy, make it a little fun. But again, gamification, be a treasure hunter. Novel is never old. That's why it's novel. And then think about the risks that you can recover from. You can recover from a lot of risks. I was taking a risk on a product. I didn't want to put that whole product out there. So I took the risk of I'll teach this class. If it's terrible, I can recover from one class being terrible. But it wasn't. It was actually great. And all of those people came away with something different, and I learned something. And then I could ask them what they learned. Well, how could I make this experience better? So you want to take risks that you can recover from. And those risks can also be a pop-up. I am pop-ups. You thought that was the in thing like 7 years ago. Like we started that business model of pop-ups 10 years ago. Guess what, baby? They're back. And they're back in a whole new way. So when you are looking at pop-ups, they can be just having a booth at an event. You can put a trade show in. It's the fastest way to have an instant store for sometimes just for $50. So think of temporary and existing ways to expand distribution. And a pop-up is that. We had one of the brands that we service a lot. One of the things that they have is a pop-up that's in a state fair. And that state fair has 12 days of hard work. That store for them is only open 12 days, but boy, is it going to sell like crazy. You may need just that temporary and interesting way to expand your distribution. And what better place to sell a t-shirt than at the state fair? So depending on what your product is, you may just need it to be there. Now, I mentioned the next slide before about keeping the energy alive, but you got to have a journal. You've got to write things down. If you are fighting this idea of journaling, you're going to want to figure out why that's an obstacle for you and overcome it, because you need to keep things in an area for you, but also for the other people around you, that they know where to access that information. Distribution is about a journal. How can you get it? What do you write down in there? You want to be falling in love and keeping that energy fully online, because you need to go back to those good ideas and have a place to pour out all of the things that are there. It can be a mess. And then you go back through, and then you do the discernment, and then you do the refinement, and then you go through and go, how do I make this concept more layered or magify it, right? Because we know you are smart. All the people you know are smart. Your brain is always working. And so you need to give it space to dream. And you need to give it space to dream by having downtime, by looking at other people's shelves, by looking at other places. How are they doing it? What is that, right? It's that hunt mode. It's that treasure finding mode. That's play. That's play. And that's the magic. And the other thing about it, the distribution piece, is that's where you track your wins and you get to celebrate. Now, one of the ways that I will do this is I often give the example of I do a lot of stores. I do a lot of brick and mortar stores because I like cute stuff. And that's just something that I like. And so we were working with a group. Now, this is a brand that I've known from, they started out at 30,000 and they're $1 million brand. And so they were like, I had said to them, your favorite buyers are in New York. Why are you not there? And they're like, it's so much money. It's blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you forgot. You forgot how to expand. You forgot. And they're like, well, we don't have it in the cash flow and whatever. And I'm like, okay, let's solve that. Because the reality is that they would rather go to New York. They would like to go to New York and get all of their stuff and do a big buy, but they were worried about their credit line. They were worried about pricing. They're like, that's going to be, just our hotel's $5,000. Okay. Well, why don't we remove the obstacle so you can just go? And they're like, oh, wow. Let's just remove that obstacle. And so I'm like, let's figure out how to work the distribution so you can overcome that obstacle. And we started pre-selling. That we were like, okay, here's what we're going to have. These are other ways to do this. And so then they could go to New York and go, oh, I love it here so much. And they had so much fun. But the reality was they were like, this is $15,000. I said, okay, great. Now you got to figure out what is it in New York that's going to give you $45,000. And they're like, what? Look, that's what I need back out of that. So out of that $15,000 of profit, I need you to figure out while you're there, how are you going to get $45,000 of profit? You got to walk home with that in the bag. And for those of you who have been in the How Journal class with me that I teach, that model is so successful. It is so powerful. Every single person that comes to that class, that How Journal class, it's an all-day thing, that every person that comes to that, it ends up building something magical within 30 days. They start setting a course. Within 1 year, they have more, because it's exactly this. It's exactly this type of conversation. You have to ask the questions differently. You have to be in a visualization that's in play energy. You have to have these other pieces. It's actually a very complex place to be able to turn your belief system into abundance. There's opportunity everywhere. I just have to find it or see it or connect it. But there's opportunity everywhere. And so when we are looking at that, sometimes that opportunity to say, I need to overcome this obstacle. Sometimes the obstacle is me. Sometimes it's a different belief. And abundance says, oh, there's an opportunity here. Let me find it. I just have to find it. And I said, look, why don't you go look at all the vendors? Go look at all the vendors that are going to be in New York, and then figure out what you're going to do. Let them know that you're going to be there, and pre-sell whatever. You can have all the money in the bank before you leave. And they're like, oh, how would I do that? Okay, right? This is your brain in play, in distribution dance floor. Okay, how would that look? So you have to have the ability to track your wins, the ability to understand that, and to work through it. And you will want to build these planning points that measure how you're magnifying towards that outcome. Now that I gave them the constraint, look, you guys have to spend $15,000. So you need $45,000. You're going to spend $15,000 of profit for them to go to New York. Now they had to have $45,000 of a plan. That's the constraint. That's what you learn in the How Journal class. You have to have that constraint to go, how am I going to turn that into $45,000 of profit? Right? Sometimes you need a new shelf, but you have to measure that constraint. Building planning points to measure how you're magnifying towards an outcome. The outcome is the constraint. So starting to go, oh, look, one new shelf is worth $45 to me. Okay, how would that be? Well, if somebody just comes to one new class, we'll profit that, right? If somebody just buys one new pair of shoes or something from your thing, that shelf just came in with a $45 item. So that might be someone sharing your content. That there's so many ways, but you got to find out what that is in shelf load. And so you have to really find out what makes you fall in love with what you're selling, with the solution that you have for somebody. You gotta love it. And the other thing that I remind all of you who are capable and love to DIY is there's a reason that you pay for help. Abundant mindset, that abundance perspective includes paying people. It's not DIYing everything yourself. Now, there are a lot of great reasons to DIY, but it's not a permanent solution. So when you're thinking about paying for help, it isn't, you have to stop thinking about it as just always an expense. It's a shortcut. It's a shortcut. So when we're looking at money, the reason that someone like me is going, pay somebody to do that, because I'm saying, take the shortcut, stop doing everything the hard way. You have to ask for help. But there are times when doing it yourself is what you have to learn. And I've learned this 1,000 times. I look at Easy Light Wraps. So that's another brand that we have built. But that person, that was the inventor going to market directly. That inventor put that product up on Etsy because it was the right place for her to have a direct to consumer relationship. And she needed everything that she was going to learn out of that direct to consumer product. It's a brand new product. It's a brand new item in her field. There's no one else in that field. She is the inventor. So she needs to have enough people work the product so that she understands how does it fit? How does it flat pack? How are they going to open it? What is the problems that they're going to have? Let me problem solve it all. And so that inventor herself is on the phone as customer service. And that for her was the fastest way to learn what she had to improve. She had a safe environment to do it. And then she could start handing things off. So then she could hand off, somebody else can ship that out. Then she could hand out FAQs, right? So now she could have technology help her in another part. So there were all these pieces that helped her understand when the solution is needed and where. And paying for help is abundant. It is the shortcut. It isn't an expense. It is how you are going to have it grow faster. So increase your model. So to recap, one, thanks for being here. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for, this powerful flood of info. But thank you for having the time to go, okay, there are some things I got to review. And I'm going to do a backwards review of everything that we learned. But to recap today, the 3 things I need you to walk away with are mindset, abundance, right? Abundance. So that's a belief. But prosperity mindset, right? You got to come in with that mindset. You got to come in with creativity and that dance floor model. And that's action. You've got to come in with action. If you can come up with a real relationship to distribution, you're going to deliver a bigger future. And that bigger future is magic. So you want to understand why distribution is critical. Distribution is actually more important than the product itself in some cases. So getting it to that person at the right time is critical. This is why things are overnighted. This is why there's same day delivery, that it's a bigger future. If I can get that item here today, it's going to save me. That distribution is about delivering it at the point of the problem. If you have ever same dayed something, you know it. You know it. So your homework this week is looking at 5 new shelves. Even if they're not profitable, I just need you to look for those shelves. And even if they are not necessarily going to have $1,000 or $5,000 of sales, you just want to start visualizing them. Start teaching your mind to think differently. And again, opportunity is everywhere. It's everywhere. You don't have to be a genius to make the most of opportunity. You just have to be looking, and you have to be constantly looking for that opportunity. Now, thank you so much for being here. And of course, I am glad to see you here in the replay. Let me know that you were here. I always like to respond to you. I do respond. And thank you for being here. If I can't see you live, which is always my very favorite, then I always love to see you here. So the other classes that we looked at in this prosperity model, right? It's Mickey Mikeworth. I'm the only person on planet Earth with my name. You are welcome to hang out with me. 2, we talked about the How Journal class. That is also an opportunity for you. Take it. It's only offered 1 time a year. The 90 Days of Wealth Organization, it's new. We'll have one more session of that after we kind of doll it up a little bit and make it fancy again. I'll have one more session of that, most likely in the fall. So you're welcome to come to that. But the NW2 Mastermind is every single Wednesday. So please join us live. You get one-on-one. We get to see you. We get to answer your questions. It's totally worth it. So definitely come to NW2 Mastermind. We are glad that we get to see you in the replay, but I'm even more excited to see you live. Have a great day, and thanks for being here. Thanks for showing up for you, and thanks for doing the magical work that you're doing. It's a big deal.